Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Online Warriors podcast. We've got a great show for you today, but before we get into our news topics...
You want to talk about how I beat you in fantasy football this week?
I want to know... okay. I was slated. If you want to go there, I was slated to obliterate you, and I was, but your quarterback just went unbelievable. Like, the odds to get almost 50 fantasy points for a quarterback is unbelievably unheard of. So
you had the opportunity to draft Josh Allen as well. I got him in the third round. That's not what I'm saying,
though. Like, this is an exception. If you look at how many points I got relative to our entire league, my team is fine. My team will do just fine.
It's the Josh Allen experience, man. Buckle up, buckle up.
If you're buckling up to, like, try to bank on these weird situations where your quarterback gets 50 points a game, you're not going to win.
I have a very deep team, but statistically, you look back at Josh Allen even last year, and he usually averages over like 25 fantasy points. So that alone, paired with then the rest of my team, just puts me...
But if you got 25 points, I would have beat you. Like, if he got the average, I would have won.
Only because A.J. Brown threw up a pooper.
But that's my point is, you don't really get bragging rights. Like, yes, you won.
I do.
Sure, you won, but you won based on what I'm considering to be an anomaly. Like, blind squirrel finds a nut.
That's,
you know what I mean?
That's the sport, man. That's the sport.
No, but like you're a blind squirrel. You're bragging about finding a peanut.
All right.
I'm gonna say that. I'm sorry to be cruel, and I'll let you have your win, but it's not brag-worthy, in my opinion.
Sounds a little bit like a sore loser over here, but we can move on.
All right, we'll move on. So, speaking of Superman, I guess, we've got a jam-packed show. We've got some Superman news, we've got some Tomb Raider news, and we have some 007 news. So which topic do you want to start with?
Let's go into the 007 little behind the scenes. It was a 30-minute gameplay showcase. Because I feel like this was a pretty big deal. It was a very beefy look at what we should expect from 007 First Light. And I feel like we got a taste of what the game might feel like. And I'll sort of give a little bit of a rundown. So this gameplay segment that they showed, and this had like no commentary to it. It literally just took you through what felt like an extended mission in the game. But you start out and you're obviously playing James Bond, but you're the driver and you're taking two of your fellow agents to this party. And so you start out and the gameplay segment starts out and you're literally driving a car, which I feel like is pretty cool. I like that they didn't just make this game, all hand and foot, I guess, stealth. You're in a car. There's going to be, we'll talk about this later too, like a car chase scene. So it's kind of a diverse gameplay experience.
And you're undercover. You're
right.
A driver.
So once you get out of the car, you've dropped your people off. You go to park your car and you're really supposed to stay put. But then, of course, in typical James Bond fashion, you end up seeing something a little weird and you deviate from your post to investigate and figure out, what's going on. And in this, I feel like this is where they really showcased the various different ways that you can approach the game and kind of showcase too how everybody might have a slightly different playthrough depending on how you approach solving, I guess, stealth puzzles. So in this segment, you have to try to figure out a way to get into the party. You're dressed as a driver, right? So you have to sneak into the party and you pass a few different things. Like there's a lot of people milling about, so they're paying attention to you, but there's a wheelbarrow of, hay. There's guards who have, tags or something like that. There's an open window. There's a pipe you might be able to climb. And you have to decide how you want to approach getting into the building with all of these various things at your device. And you can also listen to people talking, etc., etc.
So the first thing that did jump out at me with regards to all of this is, and you might have experienced this in Indiana Jones, but it had a really nice waypoint system so that you didn't feel lost. You knew where your objective was. It was that guiding hand that doesn't make a game feel clunky. So first and foremost, love a good waypoint system.
See, that was actually something I wanted to point out. Like when you're driving, yes, the waypoint system was great. But then once you were given, carte blanche, figure out a way to get into this party. And I actually struggled with this in Indiana Jones as well. And it might just be the tired nature of me as a person lately. But it's super open-ended. Like there are no hints. They provide you with all of these potential tools at your disposal, but it's really up to you. So like the sequence of events that they illustrated James Bond using to get into the party, there were like 4 or 5 different steps. And I think I struggled with this with Indiana Jones as well. Maybe I'm just getting dumber with age, or maybe I'm just too tired to use my brain. Like I get home from work and that's just a lot of thinking.
I actually thought the puzzles were pretty straightforward and kind of predicted what to do. So I didn't think this one was challenging.
Not so much challenging, but think about you're approaching this, you're not watching somebody else do it. So you see a pile of hay and you're like, okay, I have to start this thing on fire. Who has a lighter? I don't know. Then I'm going to get frustrated at this point. I don't want to walk around a party and try to figure out who has who has the lighter to start stuff on fire. I don't know. That's just me. But I think I'm also in a place where I like more instant gratification lately. I like playing stuff like Balatro where, there's almost an instant reaction to my decisions. So it might just be not a game, not a gameplay technique or methodology for me at this moment.
So what the puzzle aspect of it was both a puzzle to, move forward, but also to distract the NPCs. And I loved every second of that. However,
you would love Indiana Jones then.
However, I felt like it was a bit I kept saying, well, movie James Bond would have done this a lot smoother. Like if you're turned 90 degrees away from me, that doesn't mean you're out of my field of view. And I understand that the movie doesn't translate 1-to-1 to the video game, but it did feel a little bit like, I guess, Assassin's Creed stealth, where it's you can put a pot on, or Skyrim stealth, where you can put a pot on someone's head and now you're invisible. I wish it was a little bit more like Super Spy. I'm waiting for that perfect spy game. I think Hitman got pretty close.
I mean, but Hitman, so the studio behind Hitman is also the studio behind this game.
I know. That's what I'm saying. I think that game got closer than this, and yet this is James Bond. So it's I'm not sure why it felt a little clunky, but that was my only critique. The other thing that was really interesting about the stealth and the navigating and solving is you're constantly listening to all the different dialogue. And some of it is super helpful hints, but some of it is also subtle flirting, which I thought really got a kick out of. When James Bond walked past, I think it was the people making the beds or whatever, they said, ooh, he'll get an extra mint on his pillow. And
to be fair, this James Bond
is
pretty hot. And I understand it's a CGI character, but this James Bond can get it.
But that's important to setting the scene is he's hot, he's charming, he's not just a guy with a license to kill. And so them taking the careful time to paint that detail and include the subtle flirting, I think is an important detail and one that's going to give the player a lot of enjoyment.
I do think they did a really good job, at least in the segment that we saw, in making sure there was no dead air. Even when you were driving in the car in the very beginning of this sequence, there was chatter amongst the various people in the car, and it just made it feel very authentic and lived in of a world. Because, if it's just drive this car, ferry these people, them, they're your fellow agents. And in that chatter, it just felt like they were people who actually did know each other. And that's just good writing and good game design. So to move a little bit more forward then, they kind of do a time jump and then you end up in a car chase scene, which again, a lot of really cool driving here. I was not expecting it to be it really did feel like I was playing something like Need for Speed or something like that. You're taking, paths that go off-road. There are obstacles and traffic that's coming at you. It did feel like something out of Need for Speed or Midnight Club or something like that. And the driving, I mean, I hope it's tough when you're watching somebody else play because you don't know how it actually feels to handle that car. And sometimes in those type of scenes, a car can feel kind of floaty. So I'm curious to see how the controls feel. But then once you get out of the car, you're in this airport sequence where you have to try to catch a plane.
I hated this
And
part.
yes, same. I had so many, like, I think I was making quips as we were watching this part of the showcase. And so, first of all, there's just a lot of moments because this is where they're really illustrating the gunplay at this point. They're like, this is where, you know, you have the license to kill. You can get guns off of enemies. So when you run out of ammo, you know, you can like throw environmental things at enemies and then steal their weapons and then use them against other enemies. You can blow up barrels and fuel tanks and stuff like that. But what I had a lot of beef with, and maybe this is just the person playing the game, but it did not feel like there was a lot of consequence to you just being out in the open. Like there were points in time when the person controlling James Bond for this demo was literally standing in front of 3 guys with a gun. You take one guy down and the other 2 just miss you. Like, I'm sorry, you have no armor on.
Or they're unloading magazines into you and you're just tanking it.
And I get that that's one of those things where it's a video game. You can't have one kill and done because, you know, people would get frustrated and the difficulty would be too high. And we know how I feel about difficulty. We know that I'm a, you know, huge proponent of easy mode. But it just felt a little bit too much like he was Superman. And we're going to talk about Superman later. But like he really did feel like he was invincible at points in time. And it was just a little too cringy. But I think this might be my beef with just the action genre as a whole. Like Mission Impossible, 007. I have a horrible time suspending my disbelief that these dudes can survive going against 40 people shooting at them. And so I've always had this issue, and it's just coming to light in this game because they're not even pretending he has armor.
Well, that's one of the things that's interesting about when you're in the license to kill mode. The lore ability that's part of your stealth is completely grayed out. And so what would have been cool is like, I get there's like 40 people shooting at you, but like there's ways that you can have this like license to kill action sequence while still leveraging your tool belt and your wit instead of just being just a spray and prayer. Like, for example, could they have done something where it seems like it's 40 against 40 because he's being clever with like exclusively shooting barrels and like the things that James Bond does in the movies? That's what could have been done really well. And like the worst part about it was it's all there. It was all laid out for them in this demo. I think part of the problem is the playtester was bad. Like there was a lot of melee opportunities and things like that, like when they were on the wing of the aircraft, where it almost felt like they whiffed it and it didn't do the right cutscene. And so maybe this could have sold me if I was playing it, for example.
But also potentially maybe they just wanted to show what it would look like. Like they've showcased elements of stealth when you're in the prior scene trying to get into the party. Maybe here they really just wanted to show like, hey, this isn't going to be difficult if you're somebody who can't do stealth. You can literally just go Rambo guns a-blazing, which we know from past experience that is how I play these type of games. So
but that's
like,
not James Bond.
Right. That was my thing. Like on one hand, I'm like, okay, I can make this work. But on the other hand, I'm like, okay, but you're literally getting shot in the face point blank and you're still moving. What is happening?
And why I think that ability is still there. So he gets to the aircraft. He's on the aircraft. He hacks into the aircraft. He now has control of the flight surfaces. Guess what? There's license to kill thing, and he's turning the aircraft, banking it left and right to have items fall on top of the bad guys.
I thought that was really cool.
That's classic James Bond, where you're in this high intensity combat sequence, but you're still leveraging your tools instead of just spray and pray. If they did that the whole sequence, I'd be, dare I say, no notes. But it's the tanking for me that really kind of like, and granted, I'm gonna play it as if I can't get shot once because there's a certain pride within the like, I guess, James Bond umbrella. But I want that to be an option where like you really can't take more than 3 bullets or you're donezo.
And again, like I said, that would frustrate me. So I am glad that you can just go guns a-blazing. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really on the fence on this one. This is kind of crazy because I was actually really impressed with everything that they demoed here. But it made me question whether this is going to be the game for me. And also, the same thing happened with Indiana Jones, and I'm struggling, like maybe It's just not the genre for me.
No, there's so much talking in that series. I'm all in on this one. I have more to gush about this. I'm not ready to wrap it up.
I'm not trying to wrap it up, but like to your point though, I love talking. It's not the talking that's the problem. It's the puzzle solving, I think. It's the combat specifically, like the weird combo of stealth and then you're in a sticky wicket and then you have to try to be Rambo because there's like 20 guys coming at you.
But
Indiana Jones was very much the same way. But in terms of dialogue, like
Indiana Jones should not be that way. He does not have the level of training that 007. So like I think they jumped the shark.
He's got a whip though.
Come on. I think they jumped the shark with that one.
You didn't play it though. You don't know.
Okay. The melee combat, 10 guys against one.
You haven't gone
totally
into Indiana Jones.
Okay, but I'm talking 007. The melee combat in that, for example, it's not a Rambo situation. It's leveraging your environment. Like when he takes the pool ball, I'm with all that. It's just the bullets. We're not made of steel. Like you said, we're not Kryptonians. We can't handle it.
One thing, and I don't want to, I feel like I'm playing a little bit more of like the illegal here where I'm kind of poo-pooing on
I like
this
how
game.
we're not saying the naysay. We just go right to it.
But one of the things that I did find really cool, but I feel like they didn't explore this in this demo enough, was when you talk to somebody, there were different dialogue options that you could pursue. So you could try to kind of smooth talk your way through situations.
I'm going to sex everybody, by the way.
I mean, I don't know if that was one of the options because the dialogue wheels popped up and went away so fast that like I really didn't get a chance to see what they said. But it did seem like there were several different options. Like it wasn't just like yes, no. There were like 5 or 6 different options at one point when you were talking to the one NPC. And so like that I would love to explore more too. Like can my play style be so different from yours that I try to like smooth talk and like Rico Suave my way through everything without really ever shooting a bunch of people?
I mean, they did say that not only do you have different approaches to the game, but there's different like paths that you can take like within, say, a building. And so I think while the main story arc is going to be relatively similar, the way in which it's handled is going to be very different.
Well, I'm what I mean though, like obviously, yes, I might approach, it more dialogue based and you might try to stealth your way in through a window. But what I'm very curious about, so like a game like Dishonored, for example, gave you a lot of options and a lot of different ways to solve the same puzzle. But you could go the entire game without killing a single person. And in fact, the world around you changed if you approach the game that way. And like, is there an opportunity? Like, am I going to be forced into these big set pieces where I have to shoot people?
I think yes. I think there are going to be those situations. I think a really good example where we're kind of doing the same thing, but also doing different things is the different tools on the watch, right? There was the smoke, there was the dart that they made them sick, or were like poisoned, but it really just looked like they ran to like go shit themselves. That was like a weird move that they did.
It looked like they wanted to throw up. It's like they didn't want to show you poison killing people, but yet shooting them, totally okay.
So like the way in which you approach even just like the watch tools is going to be unique. And then beyond that, like there's a lot of little things with the player's interaction to the environment. Like even the focus bar, that little lightning bit that allows you can slow down time so you can get the perfect shot and shoot the gun out of someone's hand instead of getting to that, firefight. So there's a lot of different things and a different approach that you can do there. And I'm just all in on this. I'm gushing. I love it. I'm going to play it a very specific way just to stay true to what I believe is the character. But also, it is worth mentioning that this is supposed to be early in the James Bond career. So he's going to be a bit clumsy and he's going to potentially go into a fight when he wasn't trying to. And so
he's going to be green.
Yeah, it's a little bit of that balancing act and I'm excited to explore it.
Now, I don't know if you're ready to wrap up talking about, the demo itself. Are you? Are you good to put a little bit of a
put a bow on it?
So my question for you is, this is coming out in March. Are you going to buy this day one? Like, this is obviously, this is PlayStation Showcase. I doubt it would come to maybe Xbox. I don't think it would come on Game Pass ever. This is something you'd have to buy. Are you planning on buying this game?
I would buy this for PlayStation. It would have to see what March Techtic is doing.
March Techtic could be doing any number of things.
Exactly. That's why I can't commit to anything. I'm a psychopath hyper fixator, and whatever might fly on my radar, who's to say?
All right. Yeah, I don't think, sadly, like, I really would love to play this, but after not finishing Indiana Jones, I feel like this would be more of the same. And I should have liked Indiana Jones, and Indiana Jones got great rave reviews from everybody I know who played it. And I feel like this is very in the same vein. And so I think I would just disappoint myself.
I think this is going to be much better than Indiana Jones, which is like, it was really well received, and they're making like DLC all the time for it. But I think this is going to just scratch such a different itch in the best way.
I'm not saying it's going to be like the same, but I think in terms of game mechanics, there's a lot of overlap. And I think the things that overlap are things I don't love right now. At least not right now.
You're going to have the opportunity to watch me play, and I will give you an honest review.
Okay. I look forward to it.
Good. All right. So the next topic that we're going to cover is, it has been announced that Superman Man of Tomorrow is set to release July 9th, 2027.
That feels actually pretty quick. And maybe this is just
crazy fast.
This could just be me. Like, I'm used to the MCU, I guess, where you don't see the same character in a self-titled movie for like 4 or 5 years, or at least that's what it feels like at this point.
A good example is this is going to beat the second Batman movie.
This is also going to beat the time between seasons of Stranger Things. Calling you out, Netflix. Calling you out.
Harsh. So with that announcement, James Gunn also included a picture of Lex Luthor with his war suit, and there's a bit I want to touch on.
Yeah, I know. You're the comic book guy, and I feel like you understand what this means and what this could, mean for the movie storyline. So can you give me some insight, or am I putting you on the spot?
I can give some insight, but there's a little bit other timeline-y stuff that I want to mention. So this is also going to be after the release of the Supergirl movie and the Clayface movie. So we're starting to build a bit of a DC universe now, and we've already seen a, I guess, clone version of Superman. And that's important to what I'm going to say in a moment. Now, as far as the war suit goes, there are a few different versions of it. There's he got one from an alien planet, blah, blah, blah. But we need it to be a suit created by LexCorp and LexCorp alone. I don't want any alien tech. I thought this version of Lex Luthor seemed kind of weak, and I really want his brains to shine more in this movie. I think Lex Luthor is a badass character, and just that feeble, insecure nature of him is both good and bad, and I want to see strong but ego. That's the version that I want to see come out. And so for example, his war suit never has a helmet. It's because he wants people to see him. He has an ego, and that's his demise ultimately. And I really want that to come through here. And beyond that, I want him to not be the big bad. I want the reason that he has this suit is because he's actually saving Superman. I'd rather the big bad be something like the Crime Syndicate. And if you don't know who the Crime Syndicate is, it's Ultraman, which they can easily make Ultraman as that clone Superman coming back from the antimatter area. Owlman, Superwoman, Johnny Quick, and the Power Ring. And all of these people have come from an antimatter Earth. So it would make perfect sense. They've laid the groundwork for some kind of an antimatter thing because we saw that rift. And so having Lex save Superman and also feed his ego, but also be an anti-hero, it would make for a really, really riveting story, I think, as opposed to just, he is the big bad again.
I feel like, though, you and I got different impressions of Lex Luthor from the first movie.
He was great, don't get me wrong, but he just came off as weak.
See, I didn't get that. I thought, at least from his political, maneuverings and everything that he put into place, I felt like he actually was relatively smart. He did kind of have a temper tantrum thing going on at one point. I guess this is a spoiler alert if you haven't seen the movie. He throws a temper tantrum at one point because things don't go his way. But I thought he was a relatively smart, I don't think he was undersold. I didn't think that they undersold him at all.
He he showed smart, and that's what I want them to. I mean, the guy made an interdimensional portals, right?
Right.
He showed smart, and I want them to keep pulling on it. I'm not saying that he's stupid. I'm just saying he just came off as physically weak, and so now complimenting him with this suit is a great choice. And so I want them to. I'm saying keep doing what you're doing, but like don't just make him the big bad again. Keep shining a light on his ego of like, while I hate everything that Superman is, this is a chance for me to have a redemption arc because, you know, globally everyone's going to hate him. It was very clear who fucked up the whole city, right? It's not like it was like a mystery person. So he has to have some kind of arc, and this is his opportunity. And it makes sense with, like I said, the antimatter Earth syndicate because it will all come together nicely.
Do you want to see, you know, I can't remember the name of what they called them, but basically the Justice Gang. Do you want to see the Justice Gang come back?
I do.
Do you think that they'll be seen in any of the other movies before we see them in this Superman sequel?
So I think it's important that the Justice Gang does make an appearance just because my whole theory has Power Ring, which is the anti-Green Lantern, the bad version of Green Lantern. And so having them two clash would make for a really good set piece. And also I keep seeing like various interviews and things like that with Grant Gustin as the Flash. And so like with Johnny Quick as a theory, that would be a really good, like maybe at least introduce him as a speedster into it. Like, I think this has to be another kind of quick introduction to some new characters, same as the first one. We don't need a backstory. We're just going to get these badass people done the right way.
It's very interesting that you bring up, and I know this is kind of, you know, a little bit of a tangential offshoot, but I have seen a lot of people clamoring for Grant Gustin to take on the mantle of the Flash. And I'm going to have a hot take here. So
that's why Johnny Quick is perfect.
Well, let me finish my hot take first. So I loved the CW Flash show, at least for like the first initial seasons. I think the entire like CW Arrowverse thing started to implode on itself and get a little cheesy and corny after a while. But the Flash itself in the first probably like 3 or 4 seasons before like the big bad started to get a little repetitive, I thought was some of the best superhero television that I had seen in quite a long time. And I think honestly the early seasons still hold up pretty well until it kind of got into like the CW drama of it all. I thought it was fantastic, and I think Grant Gustin was a fantastic Flash. That said, I don't think I want him to be the Flash in this new DC universe. I think you need a clean slate. I think maybe if they get into like the multiverse nonsense, which I really hope they kind of don't go down that path all that much. Like, it's one thing to have, you know, villains pop up from an alternate dimension, but I don't want to have what the MCU is doing now where there's like 1,000 different timelines and all that kind of stuff. Like, no, thank you. So aside from maybe like a little cameo, I don't want him to be the Flash. I don't think.
I agree with you. I love that they brought David Cornsweet in because it was time for a new Superman. In the same reason, like, I love Grant Gustin, but it's time for a new Flash. Clean slate. But to the same homage, Johnny Quick. It's perfect. I hope you're taking notes, James Gunn. I'm basically a genius.
I mean, you are one of the most comic booky people that I know. So you've got the lore.
Fun fact, she doesn't know anybody.
I know a lot of people. What are you talking about?
Not a single buddy.
Not a single buddy. No, I am really excited, though. I do really love the fast clip at which we are getting these DC movies. I think it's really easy and to get bogged down and mired down in when you have a lot of downtime between movies. That's when you start to get, I think, almost like too much time on your hands. If you're like the mastermind behind everything, I think that's kind of what happened with the MCU. Like, because there were these big production schedules and gaps between things, they were like, okay, well, we have some time. Let's make another TV show. Let's tie this in. And I think it overcomplicates it. Just bing, bang, boom. Get it out there.
Bing, bop, bing, bop, bing, bop, boom.
And keep it classic. Like, I do think the Lex Luthor and the whatever that suit is, that's like such a classic, like recognizable. Even if you don't really understand comic books and you don't know comic book lore, that is such
the green suit.
Yeah, it's such a iconic and recognizable form for Lex Luthor. And I think as long as we're keeping things like very manageable and light for people to get back into this DC universe, because you have to differentiate it enough from what came before it, but you also have to make it, bite-sized enough for people to not feel overwhelmed.
Agreed. So look forward to it. Like I said, July 9th, 2027. Hopefully there's no delays, and we're going to get some more Superman fun. With that, we're going to head out to our break, and Nerdbomber's going to take us out with a little shout out.
Yeah, before we hit our break, I would be absolutely remiss to not shout out our fantastic Patreon producer, Stephen Keller. You're out there, you're listening. Please take a bow. You're awesome. Stephen has been supporting us at the night level over on our Patreon for quite a while now. A few weeks back, he got a guest spot on our show as a result of being one of our producers. He also gets access to our monthly secret segment and our monthly video vlog, as well as voting rights to topics for each of those things, and this weekly shout out as well, because he's pretty great. If you want to be as cool as Steven, head on over to patreon.com/online warriors podcast. You'll see 3 different subscription levels. Even if you're not quite as cool as he is at the producer level, we deeply appreciate your support in helping us keep the lights on here at Online Warriors Central. Once again, that's patreon.com/online warriors podcast. And thank you so much to Steven. Now we'll catch you after the break.
Hey there, everybody. Seth Heasley here from the Hugo's There podcast. Every month on the podcast, I have on a guest, and we discuss their choice of the winners of the Hugo Award for Best Novel. So if you are interested in nerdy books and nerds discussing books, head over to hugospodcast.com or search for Hugo's There anywhere you get your podcasts. Thank you so much.
And we are back. And we're back to talk about a live-action Tomb Raider series, and it is set to begin filming in 2026. So, first and foremost, I want to start by saying, before we get into the details of this live-action Tomb Raider, there's only ever been 2 Tomb Raider series, like not movies, ever created, and both of them were animated. The first one was in 2010, and the second was in 2024 on Netflix. I didn't even know.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I didn't even know the 2024 one existed. I remember the 2010 one, but like, that's crazy to me. I felt like there's been like Lara Croft lore just constantly throughout my life. I did not realize it was missing so much in the animated series or just regular series genre as a whole. So.
I feel like it is one of those things, and I wonder, and again, before we get into the details, I hope this really does well. I really do. I think, though, because of the set pieces, I'm very curious to see how it will do as a drawn-out series versus a movie franchise.
I'm so glad you said that, because I've got to say, I've always thought the pacing of the video games absolutely nailed it, and the movies just felt kind of rushed. And it makes sense. Like, there's all these different, vast tombs and set pieces and jungles and etc. And they're trying to cram it in an hour and 30 minutes. To pivot over to a live action series just makes absolutely so much sense to me. So, within the details of this, it is official. Sophie Turner is starring as Lara Croft.
I think it's great casting, to be totally honest. I think, first of all, she can get it. I complimented James Bond, but Sophie Turner can also get it. And I think, so this was vaguely speculated starting back in 2024, maybe, or maybe it was even earlier than that she was working to, hone herself for the role of Lara Croft. And I don't know if you've seen her recently, but she is muscle mommy status right now.
Yeah, she's ripped.
Yeah.
Like 18 pack.
Uh-huh.
Of course I've seen it. Not to be weird, but
No, but she has obviously taken this very seriously, and she really does look like she's ready to get out there and raid some tombs.
Also, Joe Jonas, total airball, dude.
What a fumble.
Total fucking airball.
I mean, we don't know the details of their relationship, and the Jonas brothers are having a moment right now themselves.
I thought it was very public details that he whiffed.
unclear. Like, it's all like the TMZ speculation. You don't know what happens behind closed
AKA
doors.
My gospel. Are you
It
kidding?
might have, like, I think they're co-parenting and they're like on okay terms, maybe. I'm not really sure. But I mean, yeah, fumbled for sure. Like, would I be mad if I fumbled Sophie Turner? Probably. She's also a Stark. Like,
Yeah, like y'all messed up. Specifically by y'all, I mean Joe Jonas. So I got a question for you, and this is just like my own personal blunder, I guess. But I always thought Karen Gillan was the same actress as Sophie Turner.
no, that's just like the redhead blinding you. I think
I don't
you
know.
have
I think
redhead
they look
blindness.
alike. And
They
those
literally just have
listeners-
redhead. They don't.
Listeners, tell
look-
me I'm right here, because like when I saw this casting, I was like, oh yeah, they definitely saw Jumanji and was like, yep, that's her. And then I realized I was just completely freaking wrong. And so I just want to know if I'm alone out here, and that's why I wanted to bring this up, or if everyone else agrees with me that they could be sisters. They could for sure be sisters.
I don't know. I don't agree. I see what you mean though about like the Jumanji get up. Like, honestly, not connecting her to Sophie Turner at all, but I do remember watching Jumanji and being like, wow, they definitely pulled this outfit inspo from Lara Croft and like Tomb Raider. I do remember thinking that. I don't like mixing the two actors up. I have never done. They have red hair, and red hair people are not all the same. Techtic. They are not all the same.
They're the same. So did you ever play a Tomb Raider game?
Yeah, so I actually didn't play the latest iteration, which I believe was Crystal Dynamics. I never played the new ones. We do have them, and at one point in time, I will play them. I actually had this like grand plan during COVID. At one point, I was like, I have all the time in the world. Games are not coming out at like a high pace. So I was actually going to play all of the Uncharted games and all of the Tomb Raider games, like the new ones, and kind of just like have a, I guess, Tomb Raider-y / artifact-y year. I just never got around to doing that. But I was really big on the old school, like very polygon-y OG Lara Croft Tomb Raider games.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that. That is PlayStation 1 Tomb Raider. That is
no, I
mine.
played that shit on the PC.
The PC.
Like I'm talking like the OG of the OG Tomb Raider games on a really old PC with yellowing plastic housing, and it was great. I loved it.
I love.
She also boobed very boobly. They were not very realistic.
They rounded mine for the PlayStation.
Oh no, mine were like very pointy polygons on the PC for sure. Very, very pointy polygons.
They were rounded, and the face was just like painted on. It was like a photo.
Flat. Yeah, very flat photo finish there.
Ugh.
But those games were so good, and they were, I mean, obviously there's a reason why the franchise is a classic and why it keeps getting revisited and adapted to the big screen. It was, I mean, I'm trying to think what came first. Did the Indiana Jones movie come first, or did the Tomb Raider games? Or maybe they happened concurrently in history. I'm not really sure. But like, it did something for the genre. Like, it was a trailblazer franchise of games, and it was so good.
Yeah. I mean, like, even the dynamic types of different enemies that you get in this game, like, in at least the PlayStation 1 Tomb Raider, the first thing you come across is a tiger trying to eat your lunch. Like, it is just vast and a great world, and I'm so excited for another adaptation. And like I said, the biggest thing that this is gonna like shine is the set pieces. And so as long as they just focus on that and draw it out and let the world tell the story instead of trying to force the stories down our throats, this is going to do so good. I'm so happy for all of this. So is there anything else you want to mention, or are you ready for What Are You Up To Wednesday?
I did just look up real quick. So the first Tomb Raider game actually came out in 1996. It was on the Sega Saturn, the OG PlayStation, the MS-DOS, which is PC, and the Pocket PC. So I think Indiana Jones definitely had a beat, because I believe that came out in the late 80s, maybe.
That makes sense because of the patriarchy, though.
Yeah, early 80s. The first Raiders of the Lost Ark came out in 1981. But yeah, Lara Croft, she made me believe that as a little girl, I could raid tombs someday.
Did you ever?
No, that's still on my bucket list.
Okay, we'll make sure to do it.
Yeah. But yeah, we can thank Lara Croft. And then little girls are going to look up to Sophie Turner and they're going to be like,
I'm going to be ripped one day.
I'm going to have an 18 pack and raid some tombs. No, I'm really excited. Before we move on, I will just say though, because I believe this is going to be on Prime, and I'm just a little concerned because I feel like Prime has a history of some of these really big movies and TV shows and series and franchise that they adapt that require a lot of investment, because let's be real, Tomb Raider, like you have to have beautiful set pieces. You have to really have a good either CGI budget or on film, like location filming budget. And I do worry that this might just get like a season and then get canceled.
But that's like a Netflix move. I think it's safer by the fact that it's on Prime.
See, I would say this is going to sound kind of outlandish, but if this was on
Apple TV.
Apple TV, yes, I feel like this would be in great hands.
They're like, we're gonna lose money, but it's good TV.
Yes, exactly. That or like HBO. I feel like HBO will have a good series keep going for a little bit too.
I agree. There is some concern there, but at least it's not Netflix. At the end of the day, we can all be happy with that.
Yeah, but I mean, even Netflix, some of their series have more longevity. I'm looking at, I can't remember, what was it? Wheel of Time? Was that the Prime one that just got canceled after like 2 seasons? I really worry for this because like this is one of my, I feel like I said this last week too when we were talking about the Call of Duty movie, when it's a beloved franchise and IP, like.
So that's our PSA then. Everyone, make sure the show survives and watch it.
And that's also going to be my caveat with the Mass Effect series when that eventually drops, because apparently that's still in production.
I don't want that.
I do.
That's a story for another day.
I think the Mass Effect franchise has fallen off of most people's radar. I think modern gamers, like everybody knows Tomb Raider, but not everybody, like if I said Mass Effect to my parents, they would not know what I'm talking about. And I feel like if you had a really good TV show, you might get the interest back in the franchise. And I know like people our age are really excited about the reboot and that's coming eventually. But I think if you want like widespread, like I want what like Stranger Things Zeitgeist had for Mass Effect.
I don't think you're going to get that.
A girl can dream.
But I don't think you're going to get that. So with that, we're going to take it up to What Are You Up To Wednesday? And I'm going to start with Nerdbomber.
All right. So I actually, shocker to everybody, I actually sound pretty decent. But I did spend the weekend a little under the weather. So did some sleeping, but I watched some of the newest season of Love is Blind UK, and we're only a few episodes in. I do find the UK version of Love is Blind to be more fascinating than the United States one at this point, and I think it's because it's newer over there. And if you're listening to this podcast and you're from the UK, I would actually love your input. So please hit me up on like Blue Sky or something and let me know if this is true or not. But it feels like because this is only the second season of Love is Blind in the UK, you don't have as many people who are just on the show trying to get famous and become an influencer because they still don't really like know what it is. Like a lot of the people so far still are on it because it's like a love experiment. And like that is the reason why they're on the show and they're looking for love. And so I do find the UK version to be a little bit more refreshing. I did nod off a little bit. There are a few couples that I'm very tentatively curious how that's actually going to work in real time. I guess the full series is out right now, so like I guess you could have watched it. I don't want to spoil it.
These people are any interesting.
Really?
Yeah, I think they're kind of dud spuds.
But I feel like that's what makes this show kind of great because too much, like, I feel like a lot of the United States seasons of Love is Blind have really leaned into just like the manufactured drama of these people wanting to be
that's
influencers.
Not what interests me. What gets me interested in a person is if they're like, if I find them endearing and like I gravitate to them. All of these people seem like the most like white bread, plain, nothing to them, no substance people.
So we are currently still in the pods, and I feel like you say that every time we watch this series while we're still in the pods, and then you start to get to know them outside of the pods, and then you start to form opinions. So just hold your horses.
My horses will be held, but
Yeah, I did. We're going slow.
I stayed up.
You did. I fell asleep. He woke me up at one point. I was like running a fever or something, and I'd fallen asleep, and he woke me up and he's like, "You're going to miss the reveal." And like from the depths of sleep hell, I was like, and just woke up and locked in, and it was great. But then I did recover, and then I went tailgating because it's football season, like we mentioned earlier. So yeah, it's the start of like football tailgate season. Get your best hot dogs ready. Make sure you have mustard on hand because that's really the main acceptable condiment that you can put on your hot dog. Don't do some weird shit. Just do mustard.
Do weird shit and relish.
And yeah, so that was kind of my big weekend. I was still dabbling on the guitar, and bass guitars are still, nobody gave me any recommendations. I'm a little sad about that, but I'm still, sales are calling to me. So tell me what to do.
I want to just buy it because I'm getting tired of should I buy this? Should I buy that? Guys, I'm mean in a nice way. I want to be clear.
He's like, shut the hell up.
Like, it's like, shut up. Here's this thing. Enjoy it. Stop him. Because she has such a paralysis to purchasing. And I am not fiscally responsible at all. So I'll be like, can I just buy it? Please just let me buy it. I want to end this torture.
Well, so like my thing is for my standard guitars. So I have like 2 electric guitars. I have 3 acoustic guitars. So my goal with this bass guitar is I just buy one and that should be enough. At least for now. Like I just want to get it right the first time.
So is that all you've been up to?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I've been up to.
All right. So the main thing that I've been up to is I'm starting to redesign what I think my wizard staff should look like. It's supposed to be just a real live tree that I'm going to refinish and put like a bubble gun in there. But the magic of it is I have a ring that has like little magnets all around it, such that when I grab the wand, those magnets will toggle a switch in the staff and activate the bubbles so that only I can use the staff and no one else can. So I've started designing the ring and how it will fit on my finger such that it's like comfortable, but also I can get it close enough to the stick where it'll actually flip it's called a reed switch, the magnetic switch, so that it can actually flip that and work. So I've started progress on that, and I think it's going to be cool. We got to go for a hike in the fall foliage to find me a good stick. So I'm signing you up for that, Nerdbomber, is a nice fall hike.
I do like a nice fall hike. I was going to say I'm not really a good stick hunter, but I do like a nice hike. So as long as I just have to be along for the hiking standpoint, I'm good to go.
Just give me a good stick.
Foliage season is fast upon us. It's like a few more weeks.
Perfect. It's perfect for stick hunting. Stick hunting.
What is your plan with the wizard staff? What are you doing with that?
I don't know yet. I just want one.
Okay.
I've wanted to make this for quite some time, and I've started it. I try to stock up on hobbies.
Are you going to take it to medieval times?
I don't know
let that in?
that I can bring that in. So I'm going to start with designing it and making it. If I finish it, great. If I don't finish it, also great, because it's something to keep me occupied.
All right.
I don't want to put deadlines on it. So that's what I've been up to.
Well, with that, I guess that concludes this week's episode. Please hit us up on the various social medias. I am at ownerdbomber.bsky.social.
And I am at techtic.bsky.social.
Let us know what you think about, the new 007 game, if you got a chance to watch that. If you haven't yet, it's about 30 minutes of really good gameplay deep dive. So definitely recommend that you do go check it out and then report back what you think and if you're going to buy the game. And if you think that I'm just dumb and can't solve puzzles, and I will totally own that, to be completely honest with you, I will own that. But yeah, let us know what you've got going on too. Let us know what you want to talk about next week. We are ears open and on the ground looking for news to bring to you every week.
And in the meantime, stay safe and keep on podcasting.